What's up, guys? Today, we're going to get right into looking at Microsoft's recent deal this morning to acquire Activision for $68 billion. Me personally, I think this deal is a great deal. I think it's going to help, it could help Microsoft revitalize Activision, but also help set up Microsoft's gaming empire that they're really starting to build. So one of the first good points that you have here is that for Activision, this deal can help solidify the change of company culture. So if you haven't been looking at the news the past 6 months, Activision has been getting a lot of sexual harassment and assault allegations that have been put out in the media, and then also lawsuits that they have received. And so recently in the past, obviously to deal with that, they really have been looking into the fact of making sure to address that they are changing their company culture in order to get any of this toxic culture that they have away from their company. Now, a lot of people, and the big sentiment is that they're not really 100% serious about it and they're just doing it to blow over. With this deal, with having another company take them over, it really could give an idea that they're really trying to legitimize this practice of actually doing this. The big negative, though, is that as of right now, at least, CEO Bobby Kotick has said that he is going to be staying on as CEO of Activision following the deal happening. Me personally, I think that's a bad decision. If they're really focused on wanting to shift culture over and really get away from these allegations, which has been killing the company's public relations image, but also the stock price of the company so much, I think you really need to blow everything up, and one of the first things to do is get rid of the almost figurehead of the company, which is Bobby Kotick, since he's the CEO. Me personally, I would wait to see once the full integration of the two companies takes place. We'll really see what happens, because usually while it's in that transition phase, companies don't really like to do a lot of switching up, especially when it comes to management. So what I think they might do is while they're switching over and transitioning over, they'll keep Kotick in, and then I think they'll try to reevaluate that once everything fully goes into place. And then what I would think they would do, at least if they were smart, is they would really get rid of Kotick and put in someone else as the CEO of the company. Another big thing, which this goes more into Microsoft as the good of the deal, is that this deal brings a huge player base to Microsoft, and if they decide to expand into other things like the metaverse in the future, it really gives them a nice, solid foundation of players to build off of. Activision roughly has 300 million active players throughout all their IPs, so that's a huge amount of people that they get brought into the, I guess you could call it, Microsoft ecosystem. And another thing is that they can convert these IPs that they have into to the VR setup and combine that with Minecraft, which already is, you could argue, somewhat similar to a Roblox, where they're trying to set it up to be this metaverse gaming ecosystem type setup. It could really help convert those high, well-known IPs over to that, and it could really start to build out the metaverse concept. They really want to go into it with their own VR setup that they decide to do it, or with their line of Azure products that they have coming down the pipeline. Another huge thing I think that this deal also does, it's going to help Game Pass for Microsoft really hit a new level. If they can move these large IPs that Activision Blizzard has, like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and others, to Game Pass, it's really going to make Game Pass even a more amazing value at what it's at, which I think it's at about $5 for their base subscription, and then $15 for their Ultimate. And then if they can also do something, for example, like offering early access to these big games, like the IPs I mentioned before, similar to how EA Play does it with games like Battlefield and Madden and their other big IPs, I think it'll really give a huge point of people wanting to sign up for Game Pass, because not only does it expand their library, so now you'll have Activision Blizzard, Microsoft games, you'll have Bethesda all in there. If you can also get early access, it'll really make a big incentive for the gamer to be able to get this subscription, especially if you're in the case of a lot of gamers who, especially if you're younger, you don't really have a lot of money to buy all these games at once. So it's easier to pay for a monthly subscription, or have your parents pay for a monthly subscription to that, instead of trying to, like I said, buy all these games separately at that time. Another thing this also does is it gives Microsoft a big plus in the mobile gaming space. With IPs as well, beside like Candy Crush, which made $1 billion in 2020, and COD Mobile, which made $30 million a month in the past year, roughly, if you average it out a little bit, according to Statistica. Microsoft acquires two big money makers in the mobile space, and they get them great penetration in the market. This definitely is a lot bigger thing. With Take-Two acquiring Zynga earlier this month for, I think it was $6 to $10 billion, if I'm not mistaken, if I can remember it off the top of my head. This is a lot bigger of IPs because Zynga has something like Farmville, while they get Activision Blizzard, which has things like COD Mobile, which is, like I said, makes huge money, at Candy Crush, which has made huge money for the past almost going on 5-10 years now. So this definitely gets some great penetration, and it really puts them as a leg up in the mobile gaming space without them obviously having to develop their own games, in-house by acquiring Activision. The last major point here is that for Activision is that they get major support from a huge corporation with great capital with the $68 billion that they receive, and they also get great support from Microsoft as well. And another big point, which me personally, I don't care much for the whole console war, I guess you would call it, or the big fandom of Xbox or PlayStation. But since these Activision games could be owned by Microsoft, more than likely a lot of these games will have built-in better optimization for Xbox graphics, which will really make a big difference if you're someone that actually cares about which console you're playing. Xbox fanboys can really start saying that these big IPs are really better set on the Xbox console and everything like that. But like I said, that's a small point on the grand scheme of things, because that's really for a minute set of people that really actually care about, and put their, pride into which console that they play. But either way, overall, I think this deal is a great deal for Microsoft, especially with all the billions of dollars of cash they have floating around. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with this, and let me know your thoughts about the deal in general. Besides that, guys, I'm out. Have a good one.